Good afternoon. Welcome to our ongoing saga of the Logan's Run project. I'm your host, Logan. No, that's not my name. I'm your host, Project. No, sorry. It's Todd. My name is Todd. Hello. You all know me. Know how I make a living. No, you probably don't. But today, my living is the Logan's Run project. That's what we're here to do, as I am trying to clean these glasses, which I can never seem to get free of dust and other materials. But I'm here. I'm here for you, as my father would say. I am here for you. Don't have any programming notes. I'm kind of excited. I'm really happy with the progress that we have made. I will go ahead and get Miro up and running so we can get into things with little delay. Too late. Well, not much delay. There we go. I know. It's a whole spaghetti land of various things. I'm trying to zoom in here. So we had previously, and I guess that would be episode 7. Episode 7, we'd gone over creating some details, some beginning details at least, for these nations that exist. As I show I'll zoom in a bit on the map here. For the nations that exist out in the wilderness. The center of the map, the red circled area, is the nation, though really it's 2 nations of inside the domes that represent the dome cultures. Hey, Dave Edwards, glad to have you here. Logan 5 reporting in again. Caught 2 runners this afternoon. Excellent. Can't have those pesky runners getting in the way. Why do they not want to be renewed? I don't know. Who knows? It's a mystery. We had detailed the 3 nations that exist outside the domes. These wilderness, survivor, I don't know, native. I don't want to call them native. I don't know. Those 3 things. And we had given them wonderfully creative names of Southwestern Outsider Nation, Southeastern Outsider Nation, and Northeastern Outsider Nation. Of course, we will replace those names with things that are a lot more fun and characteristic. But for now, they're fine placeholders because they do at least tell us the most important thing right now, which is really where they exist on the map. And we come up with some kind of interesting ways in which they relate, which is how we end up with all these spaghetti lines running all over these mind maps for these nations. If I am reading Worlds Without Number correctly, and if we recall, we're using Worlds Without Number we're going through all those procedures. And as I state all the time, I'm happy to delve into other materials at some point, but we're going to see how far we get with using Worlds Without Number. And that's kind of the original point of the exercise. Was it's always great to read through rules, but at some point you want to say, hey, does this actually work in practice? So that's kind of what we're testing here. What are we getting in practice with these procedures? I want to say so far, so good. I'm really happy with what we've gotten. Though we're still kind of in a very esoteric, generalized, we're not into we haven't drilled down on specifics yet. So far, so good. Now, the next section that we're in, and I will give the page number here. It's page 126. We're still in the nation construction part of the creating your campaign chapter or chapters. We get to theme them up. We get to add some themes to our nations. I will read the intro text just to get us in the swing of things. The themes here offer some suggestions for nation traits that might make for good adventuring grist. The adjacent tables organized in 2 groups. You can roll a 1d10 to get a largely negative thematic result or thematic trait, or 1d10 plus 10 to get a more positive quality. Whether positive or negative, remember that the themes of the nation should be related to actual playable content. A seemingly idyllic land with traits of justice and pageantry might be splendid in many ways, but something about those qualities should cause problems or conflicts the adventuring PCs could become embroiled in. If you feel stumped at a prospect, think about the consequences of taking a virtue too far or applying a virtuous trait the wrong way. Bum, ba, bum, bum, bum. So what I'm going to do here is I like having that we have these positive and negatives going already for each one of the kingdoms. And I think there's no reason to stop now with having positive and negatives. For example, take the southwestern outsider nation, has positive relations and positive events, and also disputes and national problems, which both, one side being the disputes and national problems are obviously negatives, and positive relations and positive events are obviously positive. So I'm going to, why am I giving me that? Add one here for theme. And we'll roll some dice. So and then we'll do our negative side, and then we'll repeat this for both of the other nations, and then we'll see what we get. So let's see. To get a negative trait, we rolled D10. To get a positive trait, it's D10 plus 10. As I did with the other one, as I've been doing so far, I am Dice Maiden. I'm using through Discord for all my die rolling needs. Dice Maiden. Get it where your Discord bots, wherever you find your finest Discord bots, get Dice Maiden. She's been good to me. I will admit it. I got nothing wrong with Dice Maiden's been a fine partner, though she's been kind of harsh. The rolls have been harsh. All right, so let's see. We'll go with the D10 first. Survey says we get 8, which is precarity. Precarity with all goods made fleeting. I guess availability of things might be an issue. Precarity with all goods fleeting. All right, let's add that in. Oh, this is the positive. Whoops, let me make a negative. Oh, precarity. Precarity with all goods fleeting. And once I do the other one, we can go down and look at some of these. If we're not particularly clear, it seems to me that there's a scarcity of resources, but we can confirm. We can confirm or deny that particular possibility. All right, and now I need a 1d10 plus 10 for something positive. 17 gets us prosperity with wealth easily had. Okay, so definitely gives us an interesting conflict here. Prosperity, but resources are precarious. What was that? What was the wording exactly? Prosperity with wealth easily had. With wealth easily had. And they had bolded that. I'll bold it too to make it pop out a little bit more. I'll do the same over here. So on the one hand, we have goods are fleeting, but people got money. Now, remember, with all these things, we can amend this however we need to make it work, or we can also look at how these things might both be true. So we can think about how what might be generating wealth at the same time as goods are fleeting. Now, on the one hand, some people are going to get rich if resources are scarce, if that is what they mean by precarity. I think I understand what the prosperity part is, but let's read what they say about precarity. Make sure we've got it right. All right, so according to Worlds Without Number, precarity. Whatever good the nation has is under immediate siege by circumstances, and it looks very likely that it might crumble. Something is happening in the setting to make old verities and assured societal institutions totter. whether a massive monstrous invasion or a revolt by some displeased underclass. These institutions will tend to strike out violently at threats, fearing that their basic existence is at stake, and the recklessness of their responses might be the very catalyst that provokes eventual collapse. Well, looky there, because you know what? Doesn't that fit in very nicely with the other aspects that are going on here, which is that fearsome monsters are migrating, a foreign culture is supplanting local beliefs. There's a academy or great temple was lured away, so it makes sense that this is causing it's causing unrest. And I believe we also have some aspects of the southwestern nation that talks about how there's usurpers and rapacious local lords, and rulership is disputed. We've already kind of established there's national unrest in the southwestern outsider nation. So although folk are getting wealthy, everything is precarious, and that makes complete sense. Yet again, the dice have illuminated the way. Dave Edwards says, positive, robotic cloning facility. Baby cloning incubator saves lives. Negative, a protest by natives who feel it's inhumane. Do they have a soul? The culprit is because of books found pre-war. Bam! Look at that. It's like the whole, almost the plot of the Logan's Run movie right there. Yeah, baby clones. It's like Baby Shark, only vaguely different. So actually, the precarity works, fitting in with a lot of things. At some point, we'll have to go back and take these sticky noted notes about and match them up with these. I'll probably have to figure out some way to do that. Might have to. I'm trying to do this on one massive board on Miro. Not sure if that's going to work. I might need to do some things in Notion or in some other tool, or I can organize things a bit differently. But that works. That fits. All right, so that's southwest. I'm gonna move. Let's move northeast. Call it over here, maybe. And I'll add a theme in for them, a positive theme. It's for that, and also a negative theme. Do the negative first. That's a D10. Remember, I could also roll the D20 if I wanted to get just one theme. But I think having a positive and negative is nice. You can see how they interact with each other. I got a 10. Violence, where life is something cheap. All right. Interesting. Violence. Life is something cheap. So I don't need the pyramid. I don't need to worry about that. Can I just highlight bold the violence part? Come on. Oh, come on. Okay. I'll do the positive one, and then we can think about how these might come together. One thing is, if you roll 1d20 or 1d10 plus, I guess you can. Okay, never mind. I was going to say 1d20 plus 10, but no. I suppose you can only get 11 through 20. But yeah, that makes sense. Never mind. All right, where are you, Dice Maiden? Let's get this other roll on the roll 1d10 plus 10. Ooh, slow. 14. 14 gives us justice, where a reckoning is had. Okay. Life is cheap, but we've got justice. That's definitely interesting. They say it was called what? Where a reckoning is had. The reckoning. Where a reckoning. Ugh, what am I spelling? Reckoning is had. All right, justice. There we go. So now, what do we think about these for the northeastern? Okay, so on the negative side of the ledger, they've found or suspected. They found a suspected spiring. Maybe that's how we should put it. They drove a terrible beast here. Who's they? Have to remember that they, or maybe a terrible beast was driven here. Okay, so they got a terrible beast is here. An important mine has run out or been harmed, which I think we related to the beast. And now life is cheap, which could maybe make sense. What's happening with the mine and the beast? They have deposed a wicked minister. That might fit into this concept. This and I'll actually call it. So the justice does relate to both finding the spiring, that being something that they is important that they found, and also deposing the wicked minister. But life is cheap, and maybe that comes from the mining situation. Justice, judge sentences criminals. Yeah, that would be justice. That's like Law and Order. Boom, boom, boom. Or was it whatever? I forget. I suddenly forgot the theme to Law and Order. But yeah, that would definitely be part of it. So we got violence, we got justice. That's the Northeast. And now finally the Southeast. Move over this way a bit. Ooh, look at all those lines. All right, let's make some more themes. Entries. All right, Dice Maiden first, or D10. Get a deuce. Decadence of sins and fadings. Decadence of sins and fadings. Decadence of sins and fadings. We have a decadent culture. And then on the positive side, 10 plus 10. Dice Maiden gives me an 18. Did I already get 18? Renewal. Well, look at that. Isn't that good? Renew! With things growing brighter. Renewal with things growing brighter. Things growing brighter. Might be enjoying this renewal too much. All right, so in the Southeast, they've overcome an eldritch peril. They got good harvest. So yeah, we see these things definitely, gosh, the linking up with the renewal. Because those all relate together. They do have this post-war or this past-war savagery. They broke off an important alliance or pact, which could also feed into the decadence, this kind of maybe a little bit of arrogance. And then definitely these local aristocrats that could also be a factor. So you have these sort of decadent local aristocrats. We've got them breaking alliances or pacts. They're becoming decadent, feeding off of this renewal because of the harvests and having overcome the eldritch menace. Dave Edwards says the theme, violence, life is cheap, creates the concept of runners to be hunted. Yeah, I mean, that's like a different movie, right? Where the runners aren't there to actually achieve anything. It's more like the most dangerous game. Because certainly, there's few real thrills in the domes. So why not take some cubs or some other folks and just keel haul them and have them become runners for sport? I mean, Sandmen have to practice their aim on something, right? I mean, how do they keep them trained? Okay, so we've got themes for everybody, positive and negative, and I think they're pretty. I feel like they're working pretty well. I didn't think we got anything that was just crazy, scratch our heads and go, what? So now we get to move on to society construction. A nation is the product of its society. While you can easily sketch the borders of a particular fantastic domain on a map, the more difficult part of the process is thinking about the kind of people who live there. The things they value and the way they organize their lives will have inevitable consequences. Thinking about their government, their conflicts, and their ambitions. All right, so we're going to get to roll up some societies. So let's roll them up. I'm going to have to make up some more elements of our tables. I will go back to start with Southwest. Society. There's not a way to make I kind of want to have it link from the bottom, but I guess they got to go. The one looks like one limitation of this is the way these things are folded out. Can't have a society doesn't really belong on the positive side of the ledger. It just belongs. Well, we're just gonna have to go with it. Make it a background at least. Oh, that I don't like that at all. Yuck. All right, and then we get physical appearance. First thing we're going to do is physical appearances. A few tables here. Just going to roll and see what we get. I was kind of thinking just to have a whole hodgepodge, kind of all humanity smeared together in these different things, just that over time and everything. Basically, the traditional ethnicities that are sort of Earth, they're not really apparent here. So I'm going to skip skin, hair color, hair texture, but I'll do physical builds. The D4. Hold a 1. Smaller and slighter than their neighbors. All right. Smaller. I'll put relatively. Relatively smaller, slighter. Okay, what else have we got here? D12, common forms of adornment. D12. We get culturally significant jewelry or accessories. Oh, come on. Culturally significant jewelry / accessories. And then what else we got? We've got quirks or traits. I'll give them a quirk. Everybody should have a quirk. Quirks for everyone. And 12. Ooh, additional or too few fingers or toes. And we'll decide that later, but that's a nice quirk. Oops. All right, so there's there for the southwestern. Go to the northeastern. Society. Appearance. Need to do that. I'm sure I'll need that later, but I'll just delete it. Down. What are we getting here? Now we go back to build. Are these guys also slender? Or not? 3. Short and stocky or tall and slender? We'll give him short and stocky since we already have kind of slender. Something different. Short and stocky. That'll work. Now we need a form of adornment. Patterned hair shaving or depilation. I'll just use patterned hair shaving. Hair shaving. And then let's get a quirk. Survey says, oh, they don't show age the way others do. All right. That's intriguing. Is it just just trying to move this apart a little bit. All right. So they're short and stocky. They do some interesting pattern hair shaving, and they don't, whether it's real, is it real aging, or is it just they don't show aging? We can determine what that is. Now we can do the southeastern physical appearance parts. Back to their build. Much bigger and bulkier. That's kind of cool. Let's see. Relatively bigger, bulkier. And I need a D12. 7. They also use the jewelry. Which is the same as something they share with Southwest, which is which I like. One thing can happen, or you can look at when you get doubles or repetition, and you can look at it as a bad thing of, oh, why did I get the same thing over again? But we have two nations that are fairly close to each other, all things considered. They share a trade route. So it kind of makes sense that they would share some things about them. And even though on the Southwest, they're slender and slighter, the Southeasterners have gone the other way and they're bigger and bulkier, but they don't both share the significant jewelry. Hey, Terrence. Says, I just created dwarves. Yeah, I guess they're not short. I guess, well, they were short, stocky, right? Who was short and stocky? Northeast, right? Short and stocky, shave their hair in patterns, and they don't show age. Yeah, that could be a dwarf. I need one more. I need a quirk. So far, I've gotten all different quirks. Let's see if we get. Let's see, what did I get? Oh my gosh. Their mouths are fanged or tusked. I'm going to say fanged. Some of these I think can be cultural. It doesn't have to be that they're part vampire or something. It could be that they do like that teeth shaving, which I think different cultures have done, where they literally will grind their teeth into fangs. Which certainly, if they're trying to be scary, that could be interesting. Heck, maybe it's the past war savagery left scars. Maybe these fanged mouths are still echo back to that somehow. Maybe it even ties into their jewelry. We could look and see if there's anything, but we could definitely see about tying those together somehow. Those did connect. So some interesting stuff. Okay, now we get to values. So we got some physical characteristics. Now we get to give them some values. Just if you're following along, I'm now on page 130. Go back to, oh boy, this thing is a tangle of tangles. All right, so let's go to values. And let me read what worlds without number. First, let me get a swig of water for the working man. Dave Edwards says, they're the miners of the alien gems for that rad jewelry. And then Terrence calls them it says fang grills. Yeah, exactly. It could definitely be a combination of jewelry and ground teeth. Boy, that's Terrence. Feel free to draw if you have time to sketch something up of how you think that would look. Feel free. I will use it. Okay, values of the society. Societies will tend to esteem certain values, holding them as emblematic of their people or specially blessed by their gods. Institutions will honor these values, folk heroes will act in ways to further them, and the rightness of decisions will be judged on how well they conform to these virtues. So we've got a D100 table. Got a D100 table. I think I'm just going to roll once. You think? Maybe a major and a minor? Yeah, I'll do a major and a minor. Kind of makes sense to me. Got major. Oops. Oh, what are you doing? Major, minor. First D100. All right, Dice Maiden. Give me something special. $60. Number 60 for their major is exploring the unknown and discovering secrets. That's intriguing. So maybe we might have an idea of which culture makes first contact. Let's give them a minor. Majoring in exploration, and they're minoring in basket weaving. 57. No, I don't think that is basket weaving. That is dominating and possessing other people. So they like to explore and they like to dominate. That's a nice combination. If you're an imperialist. What was it? What was the exact lingo they had? Dominating and possessing other people. How did I misspell that? What's the spelling? No, you're not giving me anything. Is it 2 S's? No. All right, I'm happy to believe I'm misspelling because it doesn't look right. But please tell me how I am misspelling it. That's other words you were giving me. Oh, now it's telling me it's correct. No, it is still telling me it's wrong. Why are you giving? See, possess. How do you spell possess? Is it 2 S's? That doesn't look right at all. Ugh, 4 S's? Is that it? No. We possess. I'm just gonna say dominating other people. I will look it up later. I don't know why my spell foo not working today. Okay. Not gonna let that stop me. So we've got exploring the unknown, discovering secrets, and then dominating other people. That's a nice, interesting combination. I will have values. Hear that? That's my cat, Betty. Hi, Betty. Can't sit on my lap right now, Betty. I'm streaming. Can't you tell I'm streaming? Come on, Betty. 32. So northeast, subtlety and indirectness of action. That's an interesting value. Subtlety and indirectness of action. Oh, come on. Subtlety and indirectness of action. Are we in there? Am I missing something? I think I am missing something in that spelling. Yeah, it's an E. Subtlety. Oh, and a T. There we go. All right. So they love to be subtle and indirect. What's their minor going to be? Faithfulness towards one's chosen friends. Their minor. Faithfulness towards one's chosen friends. All right. That's interesting. And we can see here how this would definitely, this minor theme, whoops, gotta keep moving this away to give some more space. This theme definitely, I think, can be something that both contrasts and, right, because you have, I'm making more spaghetti. If you're faithful towards your friends, that's going to definitely throw a wrinkle sometimes into justice, because that's one of the oft issues with these things, right? Is do you present the wall to your, if your friend is under suspicion, do you do what's right, what's just, and and give up your friend, or do you hold on to them? So it's an interesting bit of how these two are going to work together. But certainly the other part is the faithlessness of, or the wickedness of a minister also plays in that, because you're supposed to be, you're supposed to, something that the culture themselves, the nation, have put their faith in, and the minister has broken that. It has broken it, and so therefore must be punished. I wonder if you export this as something non-graphical, how it gets all those connections put together. Hopefully I'll be able to make sense of it when I might need to get it out of this format. Values, major, minor. And then finally, in the Southeast District, we get 31. What is 31? Also subtlety and indirectness of action. Well, I could look at that and say, oh, I'm bummed out, I didn't get the same thing. But it kind of makes sense. These two cultures are not far from each other, and their societies have similar values. In some ways, we're seeing that the Southeast is a mix of the Northeast and the Southwest. They share bits of both. They have some of the physical appearance stuff matches up with the Southeast or Southwest, but then some of their culture matches up with Northeast. Indirectness, can they be trusted? I tell you now, sir, they cannot. Yeah, Dave Edwards, that's going to be an interesting question on a diplomatic, social level. Can you trust these folks? If you're from the south, if you're from the Northeast, you could probably trust them if you're your friends, right? Because you're supposed to be faithful to your friends. Though maybe that's overridden by subtlety, but they inform each other. You could be subtle, you could be indirect, but you should be faithful. But if you're from the Southeast, let's see what their secondary one is. What informs this subtlety that they're big on down there? I didn't get any high numbers really on that table, interestingly enough. Aesthetic unworldliness and pious poverty. Aesthetic unworldliness and pious poverty. Worldliness, pious poverty. That certainly makes for some conflicts going on, because how does that fit with their jewelry and their decadence? We could see that there's trouble brewing in the Southeast with these different things. And the fact is that this might be kind of the whole thing with the renewal and being enriched. They might be having some problems. Dave Edwards said they must be out for themselves, only helping if there's something in it for them. Yep, they could very well, that could very well be their ethos, if you will. All right. Just looking at all these dotted dashed lines just swirling all over the place. They kind of make sense to me. Hopefully I won't lose track of it. Those are values. So we're getting more and more stuff here. Now we get to organization and aesthetics. So we get organization and aesthetics. About organization, the book says, how is the society organized at the basic level? While the ties of blood are fundamental to almost all societies, the basic units of identity and cooperation don't always fall along nuclear family lines. In the far future of the latter Earth, societies built on ideological or functional delineations are more common, as some human lineages have had their cognition and preferences adjusted to better suit their ancient manipulators' purposes. Ooh, well, we're not playing in the latter Earth, so we don't have to worry about that. But we are going to use the tables to see what the major unit of societal identity is. So let's go ahead and make some more blanks. This will be identity. Does that make sense as a thing? I suppose it does. This table is a D20. I go back to Dice Maiden. I am asking Dice Maiden, please roll me a D20. Dice Maiden gives me back a 2. Religious factions or faith alliances? Factions or faith alliances? I put that in the wrong one. Ah, you bummer. You bummer. Put that in the Southeast. It's not. Wow. Well, look at all that. Look at all that stuff. All right. Let's zoom back in. I want to copy you. I'm going to get rid of you. I'm going to go back to the Southwest. Identity tab. Bam. And this is interesting because we've already seen that one of the things going on with the Southwest is a great temple's being lured away as a negative, which definitely puts pressure on that identity bit. So there's some nice linkages we can see. Is there anything else? It also definitely feeds into this concept of dominating other people. And also we can probably look at that, the jewelry and that That might be something that feeds in. And also the fingers and toes. If we think that's not a natural thing, but it's something that they're doing to each other. Is there anything else we see? Definitely the sages, scholars and sages feeds in there too. So we're seeing a lot of stuff interrelate, which is cool. What we want. And also the religious factions are definitely going to be in conflict if there's foreign cultures coming in. Oh, Dave Edwards, Logan 5 must leave. Oh, sorry to see you go. You got to do, as a married Sandman, got to do laundry. Well, thanks for joining us. And yeah, that's the thing we don't see. We don't see too much. We don't see the life of the Sandmen, the married Sandmen. Is there even marriage in the domes? That's an interesting question. Thanks for coming, Dave. We'll talk to you later. So we got some cool linkages with that identity. Let's go to Northeast. Society. Identity. D20, right? Yep. Let's roll another D20. Dice Maiden. Give me 14. Inheritance of an ancient body modification. Ooh. That's intriguing. Inheritance of an ancient body modification. Could that be related to their short and stocky stature? Anything else that could relate to? Oh, and they don't show age like others do? Boy, that seems like a match. Cool. Yes, sir. Maybe even, I wonder if the violence, even that we could think about it, does that even interact with their theme of violence? Who knows? And then finally, in the Southeast, we get professional guild or trade specific group. Professional guild or trades specific group. Professional guild or trade specific group. It's interesting too. This one's harder to place. Does this feed into anything? Certainly it'll feed into their jewelry. So maybe whereas the one group uses jewelry in terms of religion, identifying religion, perhaps here it has to do more commercial stuff. Also, maybe that piety and aesthetic unworldliness. Certainly them being subtle and indirect also works with, if you think of things like traders. Obviously, it doesn't have to be just people who partake in actual trade, but trades. So it could be anything from Fletchers, Boyers, farmers, whatever. But that might come into it. Also might feed in their decadence if different groups are prospering in different ways at different levels. And they might also be in conflict with these local aristocrats. That could be an interesting conflict to develop. Also, the alliance. They broke off an alliance. Was it a trade? Was it a trade pact? All right. We keep building more spaghetti, but some real interesting stuff coming out. And now we get to some aesthetics. Do we need to do this? So the list here of aesthetics they give are giving us, I'm probably going to skip these. I think we're going to make these. So they're basically, if we wanted a template society, I suppose I can roll them. We're still going to have to do a lot because if we get Victorian England, it's not going to be a slice of steampunk. thrown in, but it would probably, we could look at maybe from social aspects, kind of like Victorian England. So we can let's roll on it. Let's roll on it. We'll see what we get. But I probably won't be pulling from there whole hog, but using it to just add some touches, add some flavor, give us a touchstone to kind of go back to when we're pondering things. Let's start with the Southwest, as we've been doing. Add an aesthetics link. And then I need to roll. It is a D20. Roll a 5. Mali Empire. And I'll probably have to look some of these up to make sure that I can do justice to what we are getting. Mali Empire. Now we'll go to Northeast. Another D20, if you please, Dice Maiden. Interesting. I also got the Mali Empire. What it would be the odds if I got 3 5s in a row, which would indicate Mali Empire? Would actually be fine because they're all related. Nope, didn't get it. How different? So how different is Southeastern compared to the other ones? Mongolian steppe nomads. That one might be the first time I say, well, that's an interesting or kind of a tough fit. But maybe the aesthetics, I mean, it does match in with some of the stuff quite well. The fangs. But we'll just probably have to look past the nomads part, or them being nomadic. They clearly, if they're organized on guilds and trade specific group, they have to be somewhat, I imagine that's fairly sedentary. Unless maybe we could find an example in which you could have all these different guilds and associations, but they're also not have some kind of sedentariness to them. But we can definitely, that definitely feeds into the fanged mouths. Just in terms of those kinds of warlike, I'm looking kind of warlike behavior, past war savagery. Certainly the Mongolian nomads were not known for being gentle in war. I don't know if they used much jewelry, and I don't think they're big people, but probably have to look more at what their societies are like. So I'll have to do some homework on Mongolian steppe nomadic society and Malian Empire society. We could think about, if we have 2 corners of our map here. Let's go over to this one. This one, Malian Empire style. This one up here, Malian Empire style, and this one very different. You can think about why are they different? What happened to make it? And it could be stuff to do with the last war and the outsider, or not, sorry, the war and the monster that was there. We could also look at the local aristocrats. If we have sort of these various groups that are tied together, maybe instead of, if we're looking at steppe nomads that may follow different charismatic leaders or khans, maybe in this case they follow these guild leaders. Cool. Those are the aesthetics. Now we get to government. All right, I'm gonna call it here in terms of progress. Since we have a few minutes left, does anybody have any comments? I will say, just as a, I don't know what to call it, a State of the Union, as we're in episode 8, I really appreciate the progress we're making. I think that the tools thus far have given us a lot of great material to work with. As we can see by all these different relationships, I've just been sort of spewing everywhere and connecting dots all over the place. I think it shows how much stuff we've gotten. I think just about everything we found some way to fit it nicely. But I think we're getting a lot of things that are going to give these unique flavors. I don't think if everybody that we're doing it on their own, we probably get all kinds of different ones, right? I don't think we're going to get 2 or 3 sort of. It's not going to give us the same kind of results over and over and over again. We're getting a lot of different things, lots of stuff that's intriguing, and we still have a lot of work and even more things we're going to get when we get back to connecting up the things that we got from constructing the terrain versus the things we've gotten from the peoples. So we have Southwestern Outsider Nation, these things that define it as a culture. Well, we also have the stuff we know is going on in the regions, and we'll have to connect those together. So I think it's doing really well. I am certainly not finding that either I'm getting lots of nonsensical results or lots of stuff that I can't use. Now, nothing says, I think it's looking good. At the end of all the dice rolling, you should narrate how it all fits together. Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're going to have to. There's going to be some point, probably multiple of streams, which is trying to create some kind of readable final, quote unquote, final, or maybe a draft copy of what the heck this stuff's going to come out with. At some point, we'll have to come up with names for the regions, names for the people, some bit about their history, wherever, at least up till the point of our, year 0, whenever we're saying the campaign starts. I think I have it written somewhere, whatever year of the city, whatever number. Yeah, we're going to have to all put it together. Of course, you guys will be helping me every step of the way. I will need that help, but I'm finding a lot of good stuff. I think as a tool set, you can imagine we're doing everything from scratch. So we're going through basically all the tools so far. But you can certainly, I could certainly imagine leaning in on just one of these tools for a specific thing. Oh, I need a nation out here. Okay, roll that up. Or I need a zone, or I need a particular hex filled up. Okay, roll that. And if that gives, and that gives me something, then I can roll the next table to get it. I can see how you could modularly use different tools. We're obviously using them all at once, one after another. But yeah, I really like what we've gotten. Absolutely. I have a hard time even trying to figure out if there's something. Everything is interesting. All these different nations are interesting, and then we haven't even gotten to the nations that might be the core of it, which are the nations in the dome. And the reason why I haven't done it for the ones in the dome, because they're the ones I think we know the most about. We know the most about their conflicts. We know a lot about. We don't know everything about their society, but we know, I think, enough about it to kind of rough them out. They're kind of mirrors of each other. The sanctuary folk aren't vastly different than the renewal culture. What are we calling them? We came up with names for them. Now I'm forgetting what it is. What we came up with. They are called. Did we give them a name? I know we did. The citizenry. Go back. And the sanctuary culture are kind of mirrors of each other. So I think we can use what the movies showed us for that. But if we feel like we want to go back and flesh them out using the tools, or if we come up with things that aren't answered, or we're not satisfied by the kind of what we have, we can come back and find some tables. But I'm kind of saving them because I think they're the kind of most, or the easiest, since the movie doesn't touch on anything outside, really. This is where we have the most freedom. I mean, ultimately we have freedom anywhere. We can do whatever we want, but we have the least material for outside. So I'm going through these steps. But yeah, I'm very happy. That might probably be the hardest part of all this, might be at the end, is making that summary of everything. Because we just keep getting more and more material. And I'm making all these connections. Then at some point we're gonna have to go through this and bottom line what the actual, we got the bones, we're stitching together all the muscles, we're gonna have to wrap that skin on it. That might be tough. And I think the other part of it, and it's not a negative on worlds without number, it's just kind of the way they're doing it, which I think is the smart way, but it's also sometimes can be difficult, is we're building all this stuff very gradually. And it's come up in other streams, and for myself too, you want to jump ahead and you want to say like, well, here's the bottom line thing, or this is what an adventure is going to be like, or this is what whatever's going to be like. And we're not there yet, right? We're like I said just now, we're building the bones and we're slowly stitching the doing everything, and we haven't gotten to the part that's actually really visible to the players yet. All these things where stuff will be the stuff that can come out and will come out, but we really haven't even gotten to what does this actually look like, right? We know, okay, they've got jewelry and they got fanged mouths, but what does it actually look like to them? Yeah, is it these grills? Is it sharpened grills, or like Terrence said? You know, what does it look like? What do these things? How do these problems really manifest? So we're gonna have a bunch of stuff, and then we're gonna have to drill it down. But we got to be patient. I think patience is the key. Patience is the key. But I am a patient man. Actually, not really, but I'm going to attempt to be patient and try to hold back on jumping ahead and keep going through. But for the next time, we get to look forward to constructing government. So we'll get to see who is running the show in these various nations. That should be fun. All right, folks. As usual, before you leave, you can give a thumbs up. That'd be great. If you want to subscribe, if you found yourself in here and you love this stuff and you're thinking, why didn't I follow this guy before? Hey, follow me now. Follow me now. It's cool. It's fine. I don't bother you too much. Maybe a little. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day, night, whenever you're watching or listening to this. I will check you out on the flip side. Game on, everybody.